She texted, "Working late at the office conference. Don't wait up tonight." I replied, "Hope you and Victor from accounting enjoy the presentation." 20 minutes later, my wife was home, keys shaking in her hand. I thought I had it figured out. 32 years old, designing bus routes and metro lines that keep this city moving, married 8 years to Vita, 2 kids who still think I'm Superman. The American dream, right? Vita worked as a packaging innovation designer at one of those consumer goods companies downtown. Sounds fancy, but she basically figured out how to make shampoo bottles more appealing. We met at a friend's barbecue 9 years ago. She laughed at my terrible jokes about traffic patterns. I was hooked. Our life ran on schedules. I mapped transit routes, she mapped our family routine. Soccer practice Tuesdays, dance on Thursdays, date nights every other Saturday when her mom watched the kids. We had our rhythm. Then 3 months ago, everything shifted. Vita got promoted to senior design lead. More money, sure, but also more urgent meetings and critical deadlines. New clothes started appearing in her closet. Designer bags I knew we couldn't afford on my city planner salary alone. When I asked, she'd wave it off. Company discount, she'd say, not meeting my eyes. Her phone became a fortress. Face ID where there used to be nothing. Notifications on silent. She'd angle the screen away when texting, thumb moving fast across the keyboard. I told myself I was being paranoid. This was Vita. Mother of my children. The woman who cried watching Pixar movies. That Tuesday started like any other. I was reviewing proposals for the new Crosstown Express route when my phone buzzed. Conference tonight downtown. Mandatory for all senior staff. Don't wait up. Love you. I stared at the message. Tuesday night conference? In my 8 years of marriage, I'd learned corporate speak. Mandatory meant optional if you had kids. Senior staff meant drinks afterward. I texted back, trying to keep it light, "Hope you and Victor from accounting enjoy the presentation. Try not to fall asleep during the budget slides." Victor Reeves. Procurement manager for some logistics startup that shared their building. He'd shown up at every company event lately, always somehow ending up in Vita's orbit. Tall, divorced, with that calculated 5 o'clock shadow that screamed trying too hard. Vita mentioned him exactly once, calling him professionally helpful. That phrase stuck in my mind like a splinter. The typing dots appeared immediately. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Very funny. It's just work. Kiss the kids for me. No emoji. Vita always used emojis. Always. I went through the evening routine solo. Mac and cheese for Chloe and Benji. Bath time. Stories. Benji asked where mommy was. I said working. Chloe, 6 going on 16, rolled her eyes. She's always working now. Smart kid. I was settling into bed with my laptop, reviewing tomorrow's community presentation, when I heard the key in the lock. 9:47 p.m. Conference ended early, apparently. Vita stood in the doorway, keys shaking slightly in her hand. Her coat was askew, hair messier than her usual polished style. And the smell, not her perfume. Something masculine. Sharp. Wrong. Conference ended early? I kept my voice neutral, not looking up from my screen. Cancelled. The word came out too fast. Last minute. Technical difficulties with the presentation system. She was already moving toward the bedroom, shedding her coat as she walked. That's annoying. Did you at least grab dinner? Wasn't hungry. Her voice echoed from the hallway. The shower turned on immediately. She never showered at night. Said it ruined her morning routine. I sat there, listening to the water run, my chest feeling hollow and cold. Every instinct screamed that something was off. But I didn't move. Didn't confront. Just listened and processed, the way I'd learned to analyze traffic patterns, looking for what didn't belong. 20 minutes she stayed in that shower. When she finally came to bed, she kissed my forehead, quick, obligatory, and rolled away. Exhausted. Big day tomorrow. Yeah. Big day. I waited until her breathing evened out. Then I went to the hallway where she'd dropped her coat. It hung there, looking innocent enough. I reached into the pockets, not sure what I was looking for. My fingers found it in the inner pocket. Smooth plastic. A hotel keycard. The Marriott downtown. Room 1247. My hands didn't shake. They went completely still. I stood there in my hallway, holding that keycard, while my marriage detonated in silence. I slipped the keycard into my pocket and hung her coat back exactly as I'd found it. Then I went to the kitchen, Poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon, and sat in the dark, the Marriott downtown. 23 minutes from our house. Not remotely close to her office. I pulled up their website on my phone. Room rates starting at $289 a night. Conference rooms on the 2nd floor. Guest rooms started on the 4th. Room 1247. 12th floor. At 2 a.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I left a note saying I'd gotten called in early for an emergency transit shutdown. Grabbed my keys and drove downtown, the empty streets mocking me with their silence. The Marriott lobby was all marble and false promises at that hour. The night clerk barely looked up. I walked past like I belonged there, just another tired businessman. The elevator felt like a coffin carrying me up to a truth I didn't want to know. 12th floor. Room 1247. The keycard reader blinked red, already deactivated. But the hallway camera was still there, little black dome watching everything. I took a photo of the room number and left. In the parking garage, I found the receipt crushed in my jacket pocket from last week, when I grabbed Vita's coat by mistake. Marriott downtown. Room service. Champagne. 2 wine glasses. Signed with a room number, 1247. The name on the receipt, V. Reeves. I drove home in silence. Climbed back into bed at 4 a.m. Vita didn't stir. I laid there staring at the ceiling, running calculations. 8 years. 2 kids. 1 house. 0 trust. The next morning, I acted normal. Made breakfast. Kissed her goodbye. Watched her drive away in the car I'd helped her pick out last year. Then I made a call. Dallas investigations. I need proof my wife is having an affair. Sorry to hear that. Can you come in today? Dallas turned out to be ex-police, 15 years working infidelity cases since retirement. His office smelled like coffee and disappointment. He didn't judge. Didn't console. Just took notes. How long do you suspect? Found a hotel keycard last night. But looking back? Maybe 3 months. Since her promotion. You know who? Victor Reeves. Procurement manager at a logistics startup. Works in her building. He nodded like he'd heard this story 1,000 times. I'll need a retainer. $3,000 to start. I'll have preliminary findings within 72 hours. I paid cash. Untraceable. While Dallas worked, I did my own digging. Vita always left her old tablet at home, the one she claimed was broken. Funny thing about Apple products, they sync everything unless you specifically tell them not to. The messages loaded slowly, like watching a car crash in reverse. 6 months of texts between her and Victor. Starting professional. Thanks for the procurement advice. Then friendly. Coffee was fun today. Then familiar. Can't stop thinking about what you said. Then explicit. Last night was incredible. When can I see you again? Tell him you're working late. Photos I'll never unsee. Timestamps that matched every late meeting and conference for half a year. January 15th, emergency deadline equals Marriott, room 819. February 3rd, team building workshop equals Marriott, room 1012. February 20th, client dinner equals weekend at a cabin 2 hours north. March 9th, system training equals Marriott, room 1247. Our anniversary was March 9th. My phone buzzed. Dallas. Got something already. You free? His office felt smaller the second time. He slid a manila folder across the desk. These are from yesterday and today. Photos. Timestamped. High resolution. Vita entering the Marriott at 5:47 p.m. yesterday, 20 minutes after her conference text. Victor's hand on her lower back, possessive, comfortable. Not the touch of colleagues. The touch of habit. Another photo. Them in the lobby bar, her head thrown back laughing at something he'd said. The dress I'd bought her for Christmas. Another. The elevator. His hand in her hair. There's more, Dallas said. The hotel bartender remembers them. They're regulars. Every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes Saturdays. Saturdays. When her mom watched our kids. I need everything, I said. Every photo. Every receipt. Every witness who's seen them. This is just 24 hours of surveillance. Give me a week, I'll have enough to bury them both. I stood to leave. Dallas stopped me at the door. Hey. The hardest part is acting normal at home. Can you do that? I design traffic patterns for a living. I can follow a route. That night, Vita came home with flowers. Just because, she said, kissing me like she meant it. The card was still attached. It was from the shop next to the Marriott. I took the flowers, smiled, and put them in water. The same vase we'd gotten as a wedding gift. The irony wasn't lost on me. "They're beautiful," I said, pulling her close. She tensed for a microsecond before relaxing into it. "Special occasion? Can't a wife just appreciate her husband?" Her laugh was pitched too high. That night she initiated for the first time in weeks. I went through the motions, studying her like a crime scene. Every sound felt performed. Every touch calculated. When she whispered "I love you" afterward, I wondered if she'd said the same thing to Victor 2 hours earlier. Over the next week, Dallas delivered. His daily emails read like evidence logs for a murder trial. Which, in a way, they were. Tuesday, March 14th, subjects entered Marriott at 5:52 p.m. Exited at 9:15 p.m. Wednesday, March 15th, subject B purchased lingerie at Nordstrom, $347. Subject V present. Thursday, March 16th, Marriott, room 1247, 6 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. But the real gold came when Dallas dug into Victor's life. "Your boy's been busy," he said over the phone. Married 10 years to Elena Reeves. She runs Little Sprouts Daycare over on Westfield. 3 kids. And get this, he's been charging the hotel rooms to his company card. Writing them off as client entertainment. Tax fraud on top of adultery? Better. Your wife's been signing off on some of his procurement orders. They've created a paper trail of financial entanglement. Your lawyer's gonna love this. Speaking of lawyers, I met with Diane Kushner that Friday. She came recommended as someone who didn't just win divorces, she orchestrated demolitions. Michigan's a no-fault state, she explained, reviewing Dallas's file. But infidelity affects custody arrangements. And this. She tapped the procurement documents, this is workplace misconduct. Both their jobs are gone if this comes out. When? When this comes out. She smiled like a shark. I like your clarity. What's your endgame? Primary custody. The house. And I want them to burn professionally. The company gala is April 1st, right? I saw the invitation in the file. Black tie. 500 people. All their colleagues, clients, and senior management. Diane leaned back. You're thinking biblical. I'm thinking proportional. We spent 2 hours strategizing. Asset protection first, I opened new accounts, documented every penny of our marital assets, secured copies of all important documents. She filed preliminary paperwork but held off on serving. We wanted the element of surprise. Meanwhile, I became the perfect husband. Helped with her presentations. Picked up her dry cleaning. Even suggested she buy a new dress for the gala. You sure? She asked, suspicious of my generosity. You've been working so hard. You deserve to feel special that night. She kissed me then, soft and grateful. It felt like kissing a stranger. Dallas's final report arrived March 28th. 43 pages. 162 photos. Receipts, text logs, even audio from the hotel bar where Victor bragged to the bartender about his side piece. But the crown jewel was their company emails. Dallas's tech guy had found them on an unsecured server. Hundreds of messages sent during work hours. Explicit. Damning. Including one where Victor called their CEO a pompous ass and Vita agreed with laughing emojis. I spent the weekend before the gala creating my presentation. Not a PowerPoint, something more elegant. A photo slideshow set to music. Their wedding song, actually, At Last by Etta James. Every receipt. Every timestamp. Every photo arranged chronologically, telling the story of their affair like a romance movie. If you were going to destroy 2 lives, might as well make it cinematic. I tested it 5 times. Backed it up to 3 USB drives. The quality was perfect, high resolution, impossible to deny or explain away. The night before the gala, Vita modeled her new dress. Black, backless, devastating. She looked beautiful. What do you think? She spun, the fabric flowing. Perfect, I said. And meant it. Perfect for what was coming. You've been amazing lately, she said, wrapping her arms around my neck. I know I've been distracted with work, but after tomorrow night, things will calm down. I promise. After tomorrow night, everything changes. She smiled, missing the weight in my words. Oh, I almost forgot. Victor asked if we could give him a ride tomorrow. His car's in the shop. I kept my face neutral. Of course. What are friends for? That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my office, looking at the USB drive that would end everything. Then I noticed something I'd missed before. In one of the photos from the hotel bar, Victor's phone screen was visible. A calendar notification. I zoomed in, enhanced it. April 2nd, 2 a.m., Coral. Don't bring B. Who the hell was Coral? I pushed the Coral mystery aside. Tomorrow was April 1st. I had bigger fish to fry tonight. The day of the gala, I played my part perfectly. Made Vita breakfast in bed. Told her she looked radiant. Even helped zip up the dress that would become her public humiliation outfit. You're in a good mood, she said, applying lipstick in our bedroom mirror. Big night. Your company always throws a great party, Victor texted at 6 p.m. Outside whenever you're ready. I found him leaning against our mailbox, checking his phone. Navy suit, no wedding ring. The audacity of this man standing in my driveway. Thanks for the ride, he said, sliding into the backseat. Car trouble at the worst time. No problem. I met his eyes in the rearview. That's what friends are for. Vita touched up her makeup during the drive, chattering about work drama. Victor responded with inside jokes I wasn't meant to understand. They were comfortable. Practiced. Like I was the third wheel in my own car. The hotel ballroom was already packed when we arrived. Ice sculptures, champagne towers, the whole corporate circus. The CEO, Harrison Wells, worked the room while his assistant tested the AV equipment for his speech. I'll grab us drinks, Victor offered, disappearing into the crowd. I need to schmooze the Reynolds account, Vita said, kissing my cheek. You good on your own? Actually, I volunteered to help with the technical setup. You know me and my systems. She laughed. My nerdy husband. Don't break anything. The AV station was in the back corner. The tech kid running it looked overwhelmed by the setup. Mind if I help? I offered. I run presentations for the city council all the time. Please. This system is ancient. It took me 3 minutes to understand their setup. Another 2 to establish remote access from my phone. The kid wandered off to find more extension cords, leaving me alone with the keys to the kingdom. I slipped in my USB drive. Uploaded my file into the queue. Set it to override any active presentation with a simple phone command. Then I helped the kid properly route the cables, earning his trust and gratitude. You're a lifesaver, man. If only he knew. The evening progressed like every corporate gala. Speeches about quarterly returns. Back-patting over minor achievements. Vita and Victor carefully maintained professional distance, occasionally catching each other's eyes across the room. At 8:45, CEO Wells took the stage for his keynote about integrity and innovation in the modern marketplace. I stood by the AV station, phone in hand. The email queue was loaded. One click would send everything to HR, Victor's wife, both families, and every senior manager in both companies. Wells droned on about company values. Trust. Transparency. Building relationships that matter. Perfect. I triggered the override. The screen behind Wells flickered. He paused, confused. Then the first image appeared. Vita and Victor entering the Marriott. Timestamp clearly visible. A wave of confusion rippled through the crowd. Wells turned to look at the screen as the next photo appeared. Victor's hand in Vita's hair in the elevator. What the hell? Wells started. The music kicked in. At last by Etta James. The photos began cycling faster. Text messages appeared between the images. Can't wait to taste you again. Tell him you're at a conference. You were incredible last night. The room erupted. Phones came out. People recording. Vita stood frozen near the dessert table, her face draining of color. Victor was already moving toward the AV station, but security intercepted him. The procurement documents appeared next. Financial misconduct outlined in black and white. Wells' face went from confused to furious. Turn it off, someone shouted. But I wasn't done. The audio clip played next. Victor's voice, clear as day, calling Wells a pompous ass while Vita laughed in the background. The screen went black for a moment. Then one final message appeared. Happy April Fool's Day. Though this isn't a joke. The room exploded into chaos. Vita finally unfroze, pushing through the crowd toward me. Victor was being escorted out by security. Wells was on his phone with legal. Then the main doors burst open. Elena Reeves stood there, still in her daycare uniform, holding printed copies of everything I'd sent her 20 minutes ago. She spotted Victor and started walking toward him with the purposeful stride of a woman about to end a man. "You son of a," Victor started saying to me before Elena reached him. The sound of her palm connecting with his face echoed through the ballroom. I hit send on the email queue. All messages delivered successfully appeared on my screen. Vita finally reached me, Masca, her makeup running, hands shaking. "How could you?" she whispered. "How could I?" I pulled out the hotel keycard from my jacket. Room 1247. Her phone buzzed. Then again. And again. The emails were hitting everyone now. The drive home was silent except for Vita's sobbing. I'd offered to call her an Uber, but Wells had made it clear that both she and Victor were to leave immediately, and security wasn't giving options. Elena had left with Victor's car keys, his phone, and probably what remained of his dignity. The last I saw, she was on FaceTime with her divorce attorney while Victor begged through the security office window. Vita sat pressed against the passenger door like she was trying to melt through it. Her phone lit up continuously, calls from her mother, her sister, co-workers. She'd turned off the sound after the 15th ring. We pulled into our driveway at 9:47 p.m. Exactly 1 week from when she'd come home with the hotel keycard in her pocket. "The kids," she started. "At my parents'. I told them Mommy had a work emergency." She noticed the suitcases on the porch then. 3 of them. Everything she'd need for a few weeks. "You're throwing me out?" "The locks are already changed. Your sister lives 40 minutes away. Or there's the Marriott. I hear you're familiar with it." She followed me inside, mascara giving her raccoon eyes. "We need to talk about this." "No, we don't." I handed her a folder from the kitchen counter. "Divorce papers. Already filed. Diane Kushner is my attorney. Don't try to contact me directly." She flipped through the pages, hands trembling. "You're seeking primary custody? Adultery affects custody arrangements in Michigan. Your lawyer can explain the details." This was a mistake. A stupid, horrible mistake. But it didn't mean anything. 6 months, Vita. 162 photos. 43 pages of documentation. Which part didn't mean anything? Her phone buzzed. A text from her mom. "How could you do this to your family?" "I'll lose my job," she whispered. "You both will. Misconduct, misuse of company resources, creating a hostile work environment. Wells already has legal involved. The kids will be fine. They'll live here with me during the week. You'll get supervised visits until the court determines you're stable." "Supervised?" Her voice cracked. "I'm their mother. Who prioritized getting railed by her coworker over being home for bedtime." The slap came fast. I'd earned it. 8 years, she said. 8 years and you destroy me like this? Publicly? You destroyed us privately first. I just returned the favor with interest." Her phone rang. Victor's name on the screen. She declined it. "He's married," I said. "You knew that, right? 3 kids. His wife runs a daycare." "Stop. Did you meet them? His kids? Did you think about them when you were?" "Stop." I pulled out my phone, showed her one more photo. Victor and a woman at lunch yesterday. Not Vita. Younger, blonde, laughing at something he'd said. "That's Coral, by the way. Junior analyst at his company." Dallas followed up on a hunch. Vita stared at the photo like it was written in a foreign language. "He's been seeing her for 3 months. You weren't even his only affair." She sank onto the couch. The same couch where we'd watched movies, where the kids opened Christmas presents, where we'd planned our future. "I gave up everything for him," she whispered. "No. You threw away everything for him. There's a difference." My phone buzzed. "Victor." I let her see the screen. "You destroyed my life. This isn't over." I deleted it without responding. "The house," Vita started. "Mine until the divorce is final. Then we'll sell and split the proceeds. After I deduct the pie costs, lawyer fees, and the therapy the kids will need." "You planned all this. Every detail." "I had a week to think while you were at your conferences. I used the time wisely." She stood, wobbly in her heels. "I need some things from the bedroom." "Already packed. Toiletries, medications, a week of clothes. The rest you can arrange to get later. With supervision." She looked at me then, really looked at me, like she was seeing me for the first time. You're enjoying this. No. But I'm not suffering through it either. There's a difference. I handed her the suitcases. Called her sister to let her know Vita was coming. Watched her load her car with the remnants of our life. For what it's worth, she said, standing by her car door, I did love you. Once. Once doesn't pay the mortgage. She drove away at 10:32 p.m. I stood in my driveway, finally alone, finally able to exhale. My phone buzzed. Dallas. Check your email. Found something about that April 2nd meeting. You need to see this. The attachment loaded slowly. Security footage from the Marriott lobby. April 2nd, 2 a.m. Today. Victor in the lobby with a woman. Not Vita. Not Coral. My blood went cold. The woman turned toward the camera, and I recognized her immediately. It was Elena, Victor's wife. I stared at the footage timestamp. April 2nd, 2 a.m. 3 hours ago. While I was standing in my driveway watching my marriage disappear, Elena was meeting her cheating husband at the same hotel where he'd been screwing my wife. Dallas called before I could process it. You seeing this? Yeah. What the hell is she doing there? Keep watching. The footage continued. Elena and Victor talking in the lobby. No slapping. No screaming. Then she handed him something, an envelope. He opened it, read it, and his shoulders sagged. She walked out. He stayed there, sitting in the lobby chair like a man who just lost everything twice. I traced back further, Dallas said. Elena's been having Victor followed for 2 months. She knew about Vita. She knew about Coral. She knew about everything. Then why the performance at the gala? Because that wasn't a performance. That was her ending. The envelope? Divorce papers. Already signed by a judge. Emergency custody order. Bank accounts frozen as of midnight. She played the long game better than any of us. I sat down hard on my porch steps. She knew when I called her tonight? She knew when you called her. She wanted the public humiliation first. The slap was real, she'd been saving that for months. But everything else? Calculated. She even timed the custody filing for after the gala so he'd be served publicly. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Elena. I know it's late. Can we talk? I texted back, front porch. 10 minutes. She arrived in 8, still in her daycare uniform but looking somehow more composed than I'd ever seen her. She sat on the step beside me, both of us staring at the dark street. Dallas told you? Just now. I've known since January. Found credit card statements. Hired my own pie. She pulled out her phone, showed me her own folder of evidence. I have everything. 3 affairs in 10 years. Vita was number 7. 7? Coral's actually number 8. There might be more. We sat in silence for a moment. Why didn't you stop it? I asked. Why didn't you? Fair point. I needed him to burn professionally, she said. Adultery is one thing. Financial fraud is another. The procurement scheme with your wife? That was the golden ticket. Now he's lost his job, his reputation, and any chance at partial custody. I get everything. You could have warned me. Would you have believed me? The bitter ex calling about your perfect wife? Or would you have warned Vita, who would have warned Victor, and they'd have covered their tracks? She was right. I would have doubted her. Besides, she continued, you needed to see it yourself. Find it yourself. Own your anger. Otherwise you'd always wonder if you'd made a mistake. My phone lit up. Vita. I declined it. She's staying at her sister's, I said. Victor's at a motel by the airport. Coral dumped him an hour ago. Apparently being publicly exposed as a serial cheater isn't attractive to a 23-year-old trying to build her career. What now? Elena stood, brushed off her uniform. Now we rebuild. You've got your kids, your house, your job. I've got mine. They've got nothing but each other, and even that won't last. Vita will realize Victor played her. Victor will realize he lost everything for women who were just excitement. They'll tear each other apart with blame. You sound sure. I've been watching him for 20 years. He doesn't know how to be alone. He'll try to win her back, or you, or someone. It's pathetic, really. She was right again. 3 days later, Victor sent Vita flowers with a note about starting fresh. She texted me a photo, asking what she should do. I didn't respond. A week later, he showed up at my office. Security removed him. 2 weeks later, Vita sent a long email about forgiveness and second chances and how the kids needed their mother. Diane handled that with a cease and desist. The divorce finalized in September. I got primary custody, the house, and 60% of assets. Vita got supervised visits and a monthly payment that barely covered her studio apartment. Victor's divorce was messier. Elena took him for everything. His company sued for the procurement fraud. Last I heard, he'd moved to Ohio to live with his brother. Vita works retail now. Sometimes I see her at drop-off, hollow-eyed and diminished. She tried to explain once, to make me understand how it just happened. I told her affairs don't just happen. There are 1,000 small choices to betray, to lie, to prioritize excitement over commitment. She cried. I walked away. The kids are good. They're resilient. Chloe still asks why mommy lives somewhere else, but she stopped crying about it. Benji's too young to remember it differently. I'm dating someone now. A pediatric nurse named Rosa who makes my kids laugh and never texts during dinner. She knows the whole story. Says it makes her trust me more, knowing I can handle betrayal without losing myself. Elena and I have coffee sometimes. Two single parents comparing notes, sharing the strange bond of being betrayed by the same man. Her kids and mine play together. We laugh about it now, the absurdity of it all. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Location, Columbus, Ohio. Relationship, single. I screenshot it and filed it away. Not for revenge. Just for perspective. A reminder of what choosing poorly costs. My phone buzzed. Rosa, sending a photo from the pediatric ward, a kid in a dinosaur costume insisting he was a T-Rex, not a patient. I smiled. Real happiness feels different than the performance of it. Outside, a bus rolled past on the route I'd designed. Taking people where they needed to go, following the patterns I'd mapped. Some things, at least, you can control. The rest? You survive, you rebuild, and you choose better next time. That's all any of us can do. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.